All then took their leave, wishing their entertainer long life and happiness as a married man, with recapitulations which occupied some time. Wildeve attended them to the door beyond which the deep-dyed upward stretch of heath stood awaiting them, an amplitude of darkness reigning from their feet almost to the zenith, where a definite form first became visible in the lowering forehead of Rainbarrow. Diving into the dense obscurity in a line headed by Sam the turf-cutter, they pursued their trackless way home. When the scratching of the furs against their leggings had fainted upon the ear, Wildeve returned to the room where he had left Thomasin and her aunt. The women were gone. They could only have left the house in one way, by the back window, and this was open. Wildeve laughed to himself, remained a moment thinking, and idly returned to the front room. Here his glance fell upon a bottle of wine which stood on the mantelpiece. "Ah, old Dowden," he murmured, and going to the kitchen door shouted, "Is there anybody here who can take something to old Dowden?" There was no reply. The room was empty, the lad who acted as his factotum having gone to bed. Wildeve came back, put on his hat, took the bottle, and left the house, turning the key in the door, for there was no guest at the inn tonight. As soon as he was on the road, the little bonfire on Mistover Nap again met his eye. "Still waiting, are you, my lady?" he murmured. However, he did not proceed that way just then, but leaving the hill to the left of him, he stumbled over a rutted road that brought him to a cottage, which, like all other habitations on the heath at this hour, was only saved from being invisible by a faint shine from its bedroom window. This house was the home of Ollie Dowden, the besom-maker, and he entered. The lower room was in darkness, but by feeling his way he found a table, whereon he placed the bottle, and a minute later emerged again upon the heath. He stood and looked northeast at the undying little fire, high up above him, though not so high as Rainbarrow. We have been told what happens when a woman deliberates, and the epigram is not always terminable with women, provided that one be in the case, and that a fair one. Wildeve stood, and stood longer, and breathed perplexedly, and then said to himself with resignation, "Yes. By heaven, I must go to her, I suppose." Instead of turning in the direction of home, he pressed on rapidly by a path under Rainbarrow, towards what was evidently a signal light.